And we're live. Hello, everyone. Wow. Are we getting the same guest as last time? Ah, well, not. That's the whole fun. Well, first of all, happy India Independence Day to all my lovely people there. And let me start off with something which is very, very close to my heart and especially close to my guest's heart. We all know that bullying and ragging during the teen years could lead a child with scars, mental scars, sometimes physical as well. The memories can haunt them forever. Some children take the extreme step to kill themselves, and then there are others, like my guest, Dr. Siddharth Gaur, who send sweets to their bullies. Before I grab him, let me just share a few words about Dr. Siddharth. Dr. Siddharth Kishore Gaur is a PhD in management with a specialization in digital marketing. He completed his MS and MOT, that's Manager of Technology, from Georgia Tech in electrical and computer engineering, which ranks fourth in the world. He works as a sales professional with over 11 years of experience of working in some of the top IT companies in the world in various roles across marketing, sales, and customer success. He's also been working in the area of personal growth and human development for the past 2 years. His mission is to create 1 million public speakers globally by 2030. He strongly believes that public speaking is not a sprint, it's a marathon. In order to be a world-class public speaker, you gotta be ready to explore the world and share your experiences and perceptions with others. He's a passionate person, empowering his students through his public speaking programs and transformational seminars aimed at shattering the mental blocks and limiting beliefs that prevents his mentees to unleash the power of public speaking and be the better versions. He strongly believes that public speaking gives you a platform to share valuable ideas, which according to him is the best way to give back to the society and to make the world a better place. I'm not a public speaking expert. I've always been and shall always continue to be a student of public speaking, is what my humble friend says. Some of his achievements include he's been selected as one of the top 250 speakers from more than 40,000 speakers in Super Speakers, the ultimate quest for India's next best motivational speaker. He's been presented with the best presentation at Online International Impromptu Speaking Championship in 2021, first runner at Digital Storytelling Championship 2021, international keynote speaker, hosted several shows on personal and professional, has participated and won several business competitions, and was recently interviewed in a reputed talk show, Story of Hope Introverts Special. With that, and one of the fantastic public speakers that I know of, let me introduce my dear friend, whom I admire for his public speaking skills, Dr. Siddharth Kishore Gaur. Let me get him. Oh my God. And Siddharth is blindfolded. Siddharth, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Amit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for welcoming me on your amazing show, impacting so many real lives with real stories, with real struggles and real solutions. Kudos to you, Amit, for this great mission. And it's a pleasure and honor to be a part of this show. And yes, I am blindfolded today. I cannot see anything. So let me know if I'm audible.
You are absolutely audible, and my audience is super curious that what is wrong. First of all, the video didn't show you. You were not there when I introduced. Generally, my guests are always there, and now when you came, man, we can't even see you. I mean, or you cannot see us. You're just blindfolded. What's going on?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to wish you, Amit, your family, and all our amazing family members, our fellow Indian citizens, a very happy 75th Independence Day. On this day of freedom, I want to ask all you amazing people a question. 15th August 1947, after 200 years of rule, of oppression, of bullying us around, the foreign rulers left our country. We thought we were free, but my question to you is, are we actually free? Or have we put a blindfold in front of our eyes to pretend to be free? There are still bullies out there, two types of bullies out there. The external bullies that lie outside of us, the less dangerous of the two categories that still exist. And of course, I'm here to talk about my story of how I worked, how I struggled to claim my freedom from those bullies in the last 34 years of my life and went from the journey of being bullied to being beautiful. And that's the reason I'm wearing this blindfold in front of you today.
Wow, wow, that's really powerful, Siddharth. I mean, you're absolutely right about the fact that are we really free? Let me ask you this. I know I'm gonna dive into your you know how should I put it, dig in the old grave, right? And I apologize for that. But for my
Absolutely.
audience sake, let's take you back, around 30 years back, and I want you to share what exactly happened with you and what's the bullying that you faced.
Thank you so much, Amit, for taking me down memory lane. And every time I speak about those incidents, I get goosebumps still. So let me take you back to the year 2004, when it was the first time I was staying away from my family. I had got admissions in one of the top colleges for engineering in Pune, and it was the first time I was staying away from my family. I was brought up in a very peaceful and protective environment in a Muslim country with my parents. So it was the first time when I was actually staying away from them. I was really excited. First day of college, you're moved to the hostel. So I was carrying my two bags and I entered my hostel room. So excited that now I have my freedom. I am going to settle things up as per my wish. There was there was this pen which my father had gifted me, which I had placed in my favorite shirt pocket, and I entered the room. I was settling my bags there. Suddenly there was a big sound. Thud! And one 6 foot 2, 110 kgs, Godzilla human being of a man entered the room looking at me very curiously. He told me, "Introduce yourself." And I was taken aback. My brain at that point of time, Amit, was trying to process what should I do next. And very innocently, I asked him, "Who are you?" And he looked back at me even more furiously, came towards me, and put a chokehold on my neck, and then punched me in my gut. He punched me so
Yeah.
hard, I felt as if a part of my soul has come out of my body and wants to go for a stroll in the park that was right in front of my hostel room. He said again, "Introduce yourself." This time, making his clutch on my neck tighter, and with tears rolling down my eyes, with fear, with my body shivering with fear, I told him who I am. Once I finished introducing myself, he gave me a second punch, bam, on my chest, exactly where my pen was. And obviously, the pen cracked. And the ink, the blue ink, started spreading on my shirt. That man had literally beaten me blue and black. And then he told me, Siddharth, agar tumne apna muh khola, if you open your mouth, then God also cannot protect you from me. And saying that,
Hmm.
he left the room. And Amit, those were one of the fortunate days. Those were some of the lucky days for me because every day after that day, I was exposed to more pain, to more trauma. For example, taking a bottle of deodorant and spraying it on your pant zip and then lighting it on fire.
Oh,
And then
oh my.
extinguishing that fire with punches and kicks. Playing tug of war, but tug of war not with a rope, tug of war with the undergarment of the other person, other victim who's being bullied in front of you. So you pull their undergarments as hard as you can. Else, you will be exposed to physical assault or verbal abuse or being urinated upon. So these were just few of the incidents. And the funny part is the name of that person who bullied me for the first time, who ragged me for the first time, the name of that demon was Rishi. And I was so
Hmm.
silly. I was so silly that I did not know that I had become the victim of bullying. I had become the victim of ragging. And Amit, even after more than a decade that our university's grants commission has made a blanket ban on all types of ragging today, ranging from mild to very severe, 4 out of every 10 students, that is 40% of students in various schools and colleges, are still being bullied today, are still being ragged today, and only 9% of them speak up. Amit, I was not there in those 9%. I was not there in those 9%. I accepted this bullying, I accepted this ragging during my engineering days because I had the fear of being boycotted. I had the fear, how can I face a bigger and stronger person than myself? I had the fear of being left out. So I accepted it. I accepted my fate as it is and became a victim to this really heinous crime, which I completely do not wish happens on anybody on this planet because it is not the external repercussions that have a lasting impact on you, on the victim, on the person who's being bullied, but it is the internal repercussions on your self respect, on your self worth, on your dignity that goes for a toss. And to be very honest, Amit, I'm sure you'll agree with me that in life, even if everything else is taken away from us, the one thing that is our real treasure is our dignity. And I would rather be beaten down again and again, again and again, again and again, than to have anybody take my dignity away. And that was the first incident of bullying, of ragging that I wanted to share with the world on your amazing platform.
Wow. Wow. I mean, there are a couple of comments I want to share that before I speak up. This comes from Manikandan, and he says, "Great to hear your story, Siddharth. Powerful story, of course." And the
Thank
second
you.
comment comes from Sushant Kumar. He says, "Dr. Siddharth, this is very scary incident. You remind me of my engineering college ragging days. It was so traumatic." Absolutely. I
Yes.
mean, it's weird. Why it's very scary. Let me put it this way. Like, I have not been through such a bullying. Maybe I was fortunate enough, or maybe I was into the other side of the bullies. I was not a bully, but I was not into getting dragged like this. Now, Siddharth, tell me one thing. You've been with your parents for your, like you said, first time you've been away from them, and you said that you come from a different country than India, and you land in India, you have your both the bags in your hand. Now you go to the college and you have an exciting life that you assume that you have, and the bullying starts. And I'm sure there might be many more examples that you would have, but how did you? sleep in the night, were you like terrified that someone is going to kick and come your ass in the night or something like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day was a day which I used to pray that next day, the persons who are bullying me, they have mercy on me. You know those times in your life when you're so scared that you do not get the sleep, you have insomnia, whereas you have been always a good sleeper all your lives, or you cannot even eat food, you lose your appetite. That was exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that impacted, being an A grade student, that impacted my grades as well. And it became a vicious cycle. I was bullied, because of which I couldn't focus on my studies. I couldn't focus on my studies, therefore, I got poor grades in my first few years of engineering. I got poor grades, so they used to mock me more and bully me more, saying that I'm good for nothing. And I'm an NRI student, and I'm only surviving on my parents' monies. And I don't need to worry about anything because my parents have established an empire for me, and this is just something that I'm doing out of adventure or out of fun. So I was bullied even more. I was the apple of the eye of all the seniors. So, yes, it did happen that I did not get proper sleep. My health was impacted. My physical and mental well being was impacted. And at that point of time, what was broken was more than a pen. That was me that was broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you thought that you should just end it by probably did that thought of suicide came into your head ever?
No. So, suicide was never an option. What I did at that point of time is I started observing all other successful people and I started reading about them. What do they do? What do they do? What does Michael Phelps do when he was bullied for having big ears? Or Elon Musk do when he was bullied in South Africa for being a fat kid? Or what did Rihanna do for being called a black lady? Or what did Chris Woods do? Or what did Eminem do? What did all these people do to cope up with the bullies? They were all bullied. And one thing that I found common between all of them is even though they became a victim, they tried to channelize their energies into something else. And I tried my level best to do that. I channelized my energies into swimming because I am a national level swimmer. I tried to vent out all my energies, all my frustrations there. But it still did not help me that much. It still did not remove those nightmares from me because, like you rightly mentioned, it had scarred my subconscious mind. So then I started playing violent computer games where I started imagining all the people in front of me in the game as all my oppressors, as all the people who are bullying me. And I used to get satisfaction from killing them, from beating them up into a pulp. And to be very honest, I wanted to beat the living hell out of each and every one of them who were conducting this. This is my honest answer to you. But yes, the thought of suicide never came because my parents had a lot of trust in me. My parents had a lot of confidence in me, and they had sent me to do something good in my life. And I couldn't let them down by giving up my life.
Lovely, lovely. No, no, that's really, really nice. That and the reason I asked this question because uh, a lot of viewers or somebody who might view because it's sort of a fad sometimes as well. Unfortunate thing that people just give up. All right, and that's one of the reasons why I get guests like you to showcase the rest of the world and especially the young generation and the parents and others that hey, with the reasonable amount of love and trust, your child can grow into something very beautiful and face the hard realities of the world. You've done that, so that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. When you said that you channel is, and I'm really, I was actually laughing, you cannot see that, when you said that you wanted to beat the hell out of them in the video game. I can very well assume that. So now let's move forward. So these bullying went on during your college years, right? And you somehow
Absolutely.
managed to finish the education.
Yes.
Then what happened? Did you feel that, were you bullied during your rest of your work life and other places? Did you felt that sort of a bullying, or sometimes we call it as a discrimination in a certain manner? Did you felt that
That's a very good
ever?
question, Amit. That's a very good question, Amit. In fact, you know what? We always have the idea of bullying as being bullied in school or colleges. But there is a term that many of us don't know. It's called as adult bullying. You know, all of us, in some form or the other, have faced these adult bullies, be it in personal relationships. Some of us are bullied from our better halves, from our family members who physically assault or verbally abuse us. They dominate over us. They are the bullies. Maybe, I had a boss in India when I started off my career. She used to bully me by threatening me that don't ask too many questions, put your head down and work, just shut up and work if you want to keep your job. This is a form of bullying. Then you face bullies on the road when you by mistake bump into somebody else, or somebody else, some auto rickshaw or a taxi driver, they bump into you, and you show hesitance or you show resistance to pay for the catastrophic nuclear damage that you have done to their vehicle. They gang up on you, they bully you. Bullies are everywhere, Amit, everywhere, and we cannot help it. They are always going to be there. And yes, it did continue for the rest of my life. In fact, that brings me to the second category of bullies. I spoke to you about the external bullies, the bullies that lie outside of us. But I wanted to give you an example of what happened after I went to US to pursue my Masters of Science. And that is the place where I got my freedom.
Welcome,
That is
by
the
the way.
place. Thank you. Thank you. So my eyes are just getting used to the light. But till that
Of
time,
course.
that is the time I got my true freedom. I'll tell you what exactly happened. I was in the US and I started working as a hostel manager to ensure all the facilities are taken care of, to enroll the new students. This was my second job on campus to basically help me get extra monies to manage my expenses. Now, what happened is there were quite a few other students that were in the pipeline for the very same role. And one of them was Aaron. Now, this time, Aaron, again, he was a 6 foot two. I don't know what's there about bullies. They're always very tall. He was 6 foot two. He was 110 kgs again, but this time he was very fit. He had only about 2% of body fat. And there was a church right in front of my home in the US. And I was coming back home from work one day, and he stopped me. And he told me, Siddharth, you took away my job. So if you know what is good for you, you will quit your job in 1 week's time. And you know what? He was an American football player. He was a bodybuilder. So if you when he used to breathe, right, we could actually see his muscles contract and expand. That is the kind of man he was. And like you said, that is the time my heart started beating so fast. I thought it's going to pop out of my chest. And he told me, exactly in 1 week's time, I'm going to come in front of your home, knock your door, and I'm going to ask your answer. Because it should look normal, it should look natural, that it's not that under some pressure you quit. Because he was next in the pipe in case I wouldn't have taken up that opportunity. That's what the HR told him. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I was nervous. The like I said, those times when you're so scared, even thinking of those times makes me scared that you can't sleep at night or you can't eat food. That 1 week feels like a lifetime. And what I did is I went to the school counselor. I told the school counselor, this is the case. Can you help me? She said, until he does not do any damage on you, inflict any damage on you, we cannot help you. How do we know? What evidence do you have that he gave you a threat? He bullied you. I went to the college administration. I got the same answer. Atlanta, the crime rate is pretty high. So our campus was in a very protective environment. So cops used to keep roaming there. So one of the cops I just bumped into, I told him the same case. And you know what he said? He said the same thing. I cannot help you until he makes a move on you. And I was like, excuse me, have you heard something of called as, crime prevention? And if in case you have not heard of crime prevention, come to me, I'll teach you, because I will be the first person where the crime will be conducted on. So you can help prevent that. But I did not get support anywhere. I did not get help anywhere. At that moment, I realized that I had no place to run. I had no place to hide. That I had to plant my feet in a different way than I did in my engineering days, where I took everything with a pinch of salt. True to his word, 1 week later, Aaron came. And this time, you know what? He brought a baseball bat with him. And if you've seen any of those epic series like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, you see, the hero is standing with the sword, grounded in the soil. He was standing with the baseball bat grounded in the soil and looking at me. And I was trembling, but I tried my level best not to show him that. Because this time I decided that I am going to face my bully. This time I decided that I am not going to let the one thing that bullies depend on to paralyze you, that is your fear, overpower me. This time I said, no matter what the repercussion is, even if my back is against the wall, I am going to have a solid footing, tell him what I feel, how I feel, and then look at the repercussions later. So my hands were sweating. I came close to him and I told him, looking at his eyes, of course, he was 6'2", I'm 5'9". Looking at his eyes, I told him, Aaron, I've decided to reject your offer. But before you do anything drastic with that baseball bat that you have carried with you, there are a couple of things that I want to tell you. First is, I've already gone and informed the counselor of the college that if any damage is inflicted on me, it'll be upon you. I've also informed the local cops that my life is under threat. And even if you lay a single finger on me, your NFL, the Football League career, your sports scholarship on which you're studying here, your future life, your future freedom, your car, he used to drive a Camry at that point of time, your Camry, I've given the number plate of your car that you drive a Camry and the exact number, that and where you stay, your address, everything to the cops. And I have also spoken to my family back in India, and they have spoken to our lawyer that even if a finger is laid on me, he's going to sue everything in your life that you have achieved or you will achieve in your life. And then you will rot in prison the entire of your life. This is what I said. My heart was beating very fast, but I looked him in the eye and I told him this. After that day, Aaron never bothered to me again. Never ever. And I learned the greatest lesson of my life, that when we're dealing with bullies, violence is never the answer. The best way to deal with bullies is with this powerful weapon that you have, our brain. 90% of the things that I told Aaron were not true, but I just said it any which ways. I said it any which ways. And every problem in this world can be solved with our brain, especially for bullies. If we outsmart them, we can definitely beat them. It doesn't matter how big, how tall, how strong, how broad they are. It just doesn't matter. You have to outsmart them to outlast them. That is what I learned. And that is where I realized that the more dangerous bully that exists in all our lives, Amit, is not the one which is outside of us. Not Aaron, not Rishi. It is the bully that is inside of us. The bully inside of Siddharth that told Siddharth that you have to fear Rishi and you have to take all the crap that he is doing on you, all the nonsense he is doing on you, you have to face it or you will die. And that bully was the more difficult of the bullies for me to overpower, for me to overcome. And I learned this in a very simple way, which I would like to share all the other people here listening to me. If you are undergoing bullying in any form, the first step is to acknowledge the bullies that exist in your life, whether external or internal. Once you acknowledge that there is a bully in your life, look at those bullies from a third party perspective. What I mean is, look at those bullies from outside, especially your inner bullies. What I'm trying to say is, if there is a storm, don't be a part of the storm. You will get damaged, you will get beaten, you may die. Stay in your house and observe the storm from outside, because eventually the storm will subside. That is the way you should deal with these bullies. And of course, like I said, stand up to the bullies. Do not let the fear cripple you. Do not let the fear paralyze you. Speak up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. That is what I would like to tell you is the best way to manage the bullies.
Wow. Oh, very, very interesting. Let me share a comment first. So Sushant Kumar says office bullying these days are very rampant by managers threatening of your job, and in most cases, top management doesn't have the balls to take the action against them. I agree with Sushant. I agree. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Aaron, Rishi, and it's really scary. Okay, by the way, I'm shorter than you, and I can imagine if someone at 6'2" would come and with 2% body fat, I can imagine it is. Yeah, it's gonna scare the shit of me as well. But you're absolutely correct when you said that it's the internal bullying, and you decided to not to listen to the Rishi inside you or the Aaron inside you. But my question is that within that 1 week of time, where I understand that there are all the folks, all those committees and police and everyone decided saying that, hey, you know what, we're gonna be reactive and we're not gonna be proactive. uh, and probably that could also mean late for you, right? Because one blow on your head can just knock you off. There's nobody to even talk to the police later on. But after they rejected your plea, at the time you had to face your bully, what came into your head that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna stand up, like, because that's where you realize that you have an internal bully of yourself, right? What came? Why did you do that? Because you've
So at
been
that point,
experiencing bullying. So now what changed? That's what my question is.
this time what changed is, since I realized that I had already made a mistake in my past, where I did not do all the steps that I mentioned to all our amazing viewers out there. This time I decided, after watching many of these successful people and how they manage their bullies, both inner and external, what I realized is these bullies, they are so shallow that they make you feel worthless. They make you feel so low in life that you're ugly, you're not intelligent, you're good for nothing, you're dependent on your family, and this and that and that. But all these people, how did they succeed? They did a very simple thing, and that is what I did for the next 1 week. When that person, he knew that I am shorter than him, I'm weaker than him, he knew that I cannot take any action against him. And he used to make fun of my height, he used to make fun of my body structure, and so on and so forth. And whatnot. So what I did for that 1 week, every time I had that fear that should I stand up to this boy? Should I stand up, or should I just give it to him? Give it up, my life is at threat. So what I did is I started doing a mirror practice which Michael Phelps used to do. He used to go in front of the mirror every day and look a little closer, a little harder at himself, at his funny ears, at his, he used to have a paunch belly initially before he became a world class Olympic swimmer with 29 Olympic gold medals. And he found that one thing, that one ability, that one trait, at least one trait that you love about yourself. And I know it's not an easy task. Some of it, because we are our own critics, we are our hardest critics. And our media, our parents, our education system, our conditioning has basically taught us to be defensive or to let go of things. So, and it has taught to be unaccepting of ourselves because they want everything to look perfect. The perfect body, the perfect speech, the perfect looks, the perfect hair. But life is not about being perfect. But yet, they found something good in themselves. So I went and looked in the mirror and I said, I am studying in one of the best colleges in the world. I have got a scholarship. In spite of having poor grades initially in engineering, I again came back up, got admissions here. My parents have trusted me with their time, energy, effort, everything, and sent me abroad to the US. I'm not doing one degree, but 2 degrees. I'm a good speaker. I'm a good student. I'm a amazing swimmer. There are so many qualities inside of me. And I am listening to that guy about who I am. Am I not the expert about myself, about knowing myself? Or do I depend on a bystander or somebody who's looking at me from the outside, a third person who hardly knows me for a few months to judge me and tell me what I'm good at and what I'm not good at? And when I told this to myself for 1 week, every day, I gathered the strength, I gathered the courage. Even if you would have bought a samurai sword, I would have still given him the same answer that I gave to him. And I think this is a great practice for all those people who face this fear of being bullied.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's really well put across. Tell me, did you spoke to your parents during this time about all this?
At that point of time, my parents were going through a financial turmoil, some crisis in my family. Though my parents are like my best friends, but I decided that I do not want to give them any additional stress. And I felt that I am grown up enough now. I am a man now. It's time for me to take up ownership of my own life. So it's now time for me to take care of them. It's been almost 24, 25 years of their life, their sweat, their blood, their money that they have invested in me. Now it's my turn to give back to them. And the only thing that I want to give them is a lot of love and happiness, not more stress. So I decided to keep my mouth shut. But I decided that I am not going to let history repeat itself. I am not going to give in to these bullies. In fact, I would like to share a very funny story because we are here to talk about stories. Is that fine with you, Amit?
Always, please go ahead.
So, there's a very interesting story that I'd read, and I would like to share because it's in this scenario, it fits very well. There was this bus driver and conductor who used to travel in the same route for almost 20 years in a city in India. They were so used to that route that they knew every person that from where they come into the bus and where they get dropped off. Now, one fine day, a Pathan, a tall 6'5" man just walks into the bus and he's about to take his seat. And the bus conductor, who is just 5 feet 2 inches, he goes to him and respectfully asks him, Bhai Saab, ticket lenge? Brother, will you buy the ticket? And he's like, Pathan ticket nahi leta. Pathan will not take the ticket. And everybody, every time they used to see the Pathan, not just the bus conductor and driver, all the passengers used to feel scared. They used to feel the fear of the Pathan. And this continued for 3 months. And then the conductor started questioning himself that my authority is being tested. Very soon it's going to be the case that every other passenger will say, why should I buy the ticket? When this man, this Pathan, for last 3 months is not buying the ticket. So what the conductor did is he decided to take a vacation of a month. He went and he joined self-defense classes. He learned Taekwondo. He joined English speaking and personality development classes. He did everything in his power to become physically, emotionally fit, strong. And after a month, he came back. And this time he decided, let that Pathan come. I will look him eye in eye and I will make him buy the ticket. Pathan came. This time he looked right in the Pathan's eye and said, ticket. Pathan, got surprised and said, आपको कितने बार बोला है पठान टिकट नहीं लेता है? How many times I have told you that the Pathan doesn't buy the ticket? With a lot of anger, the conductor said to him, पर Pathan ticket क्यों नहीं लेता? Why is the Pathan not buying the ticket? The Pathan looked at him and said, लालिदी जान, शांत हो जा. पठान टिकट इसलिए नहीं लेता क्योंकि पठान के पास ऑल इंडिया का ट्रैवल पास है, इसलिए पठान टिकट नहीं लेता.
Nice,
So,
nice.
so that's the point. Many a times we have these unreasonable fears in our mind, which are never going to come true. Mark Twain himself quotes that he spent 98% of his life solving problems that never existed. They exist just in our mind. They say, right, we are our own bully. So these limiting beliefs, this conditioning, these mental blockages is the one that stopped the conductor from facing the Pathan in the first place. That stopped me from facing Rishi in the first place. And that are stopping many of you who are being victims of bully or ragging today from facing your fears. The fear is just here. So it's very important to let go of these unreasonable fears and to face them like a man.
True,
And that
true. No,
is
that
how I gain my freedom, Amit.
wow. No, that's really amazing. That's really, really amazing. So Now let me ask you this. So how did you, because when I introduced you, when I know you, and like I said, you're one of the finest speakers that I've ever known, and I'm very glad that you're also my dear friend. Oh no, thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. Feeling is
Yeah.
likewise.
Let me ask you this. How did you moved from your, work life and all these things, being bullied? Because, sometimes being bullied, you are actually a person who, shies away from the camera, from speaking, let alone be getting onto a platform, speak to hundreds and thousands of them, is like a opposite of, all the people who've been bullied. So how did that happen? And like, share your public speaking thing. How did you went there and what are you doing these days?
So it's a very interesting question, Amit. So on the one hand, there were two parallel stories that were going hand in hand. The one side is an introvert, shy kid, born and brought up in a very protective environment, which I already mentioned. Was bullied in engineering, was going through bullying during his masters in the US. The other parallel story was I thought I'm in the US. I'm here to study for my master's. And as you know, Amit, in all these international institutes, it's a credit based system. So if you complete a set of credits, you get a degree. So now you can decide how many credits you want to complete to get a particular degree. So what happened at that point of time? I thought, why don't I do two degrees in the same period of time? Because I felt any which ways after this I'm going to work, then probably get an MBA, and then go to the next level, go to a business or a managerial kind of a role. So I said, why not invest this time in getting one more degree, which is more on the management side. So I took up one subject which is called as technology ventures. And the professor, Dr. David Koo, he basically used to tell us how we can have our own startups and how we can scale them to the next level. He himself was a serial entrepreneur. He had founded several companies which used to invent innovative medical devices, and then those companies used to be bought over by bigger companies, like Johnson and Johnson and all these top medical companies or healthcare companies in the world. So in that subject, he taught us that how we can create business plans and how we can present it effectively. So he gave us an opportunity. So I started working with a group of international students and I presented a very interesting product. And he got really impressed. And he called me to his cabin one day and he said, Siddharth, it's good that you are pursuing and enhancing your technical skills. But do you know one thing? That you are a very good speaker. And do you know something? That you will really shine in marketing and sales. You have entrepreneurship in your blood. I can see that. So why don't you do one thing? I have launched this next product, which is called as Pneumonia Check, which is a non-invasive device which helps you diagnose pneumonia within a matter of few minutes, which otherwise takes 4 to 5 days to diagnose. So it's a simple device. You cough into it and it will detect whether you have pneumonia or not. Otherwise, and as you know, pneumonia is the number one killer of children under the age of 5 years. It kills more children than measles, AIDS, malaria, swine flu combined. So he said, you come, you take my product and participate in all the business plan competitions throughout the US and let us see how we get the response. And that is where my journey of speaking, though I had been speaking before, I used to do debates, speeches, and participate in talent competitions because my mother was very enterprising lady. She always pushed us to learn a lot of into a lot of co-curricular activities. But yes, the platform to speak at such a grand level, to speak in front of hundreds and thousands of people effortlessly and confidently, started then. So when I went all across the US, participated in several business plan competitions, presenting his products and winning many of them, that is when it started. And then from there, I came back to India because I always wanted to do something in our motherland. And he gave me the opportunity to be the exclusive distributor of his innovative devices in India because that is where the market is, that is where it will be more useful. At that point of time, too, I went from hospitals to hospitals, doctors to doctors, pitching the product and just sharpening my skills, which I had developed then. And then the rest is history because I got pulled into a career profession where my bread and butter is to speak, is to persuade, is to convince people, and many a times using stories.
I was on mute. Lovely, lovely. That's pretty interesting. I mean, when you know that, and someone specifically identifies it and helps you to build that further and helps you to ensure that you can actually how should I say, capitalize on the skill that you are better at already. That's really good. So now, you're now, so what do you do these days? You're basically into marketing and sales, right?
Yes. So everything, to cut the long story short, my designation says I'm a digital transformation advisor. But keeping aside the fancy term, what I do is to ensure that I keep my customers at the center of everything I do and that they are happy and satisfied. That's my day and
Lovely.
my the job that keeps running my family.
That's nice. That's nice. So now tell me about the, you've been awarded many places. Recently, you've been into the top 250 speakers out of more than 40,000 applicants. And also, you've been awarded with the best presentation online impromptu challenge and many several awards that you won. So how is your journey of public speaking going on, and how did you manage to enter into these areas, and what are your aspirations?
So my self-development journey started about 3.5 years back, Amit. But it gained momentum a year back when I found my mentor. I joined a movement which is called as Passionpreneur, where you can identify your passion and build a business around it. And that is when I realized that I'm having a very linear life. Though I'm based out of Dubai, I'm having a very comfortable life. I earn handsomely, but yet I'm not fulfilled. It's just like everybody else that you have come into this planet, you grow up joyfully as kids, then you go to college, you have a little bit of fun. I had a little bit of fun during my college days as well. I will not lie to you, but I also had this emotional trauma with the bullying. So you grow up, you then get a job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you buy a car, you become old, you retire, and then you die. It's just a simple linear life that we all are leading today. And I never wanted to lead a linear life. I wanted to do something special, something fulfilling, something that I can help make a difference in the society, something in which I can give back to the society, make a difference in somebody's life. And yes, like I told you, I looked in the mirror and I asked myself, what is that one thing that I'm passionate about, I have the skills of, and I think is something that the market needs? And I found that that is public speaking. That is the one skill that Warren Buffett says that if you have, it increases your market value immediately by 50%. It is the one skill that can help you become a leader. It is the one skill that can help you grow personally and professionally faster than any other skills in your life. So why don't I utilize this skill and help kids and adults alike to become more confident speakers and basically make a mark for myself in this one life that God has given us. And that is how my journey began, Amit.
Wow, wow. That's true. Public speaking indeed can take you from point A to whatever you want to be. It's like being the better version of yourself. Most importantly, it's how you share your ideas and opinions to others in a better way that people can relate to it. But that's fantastic. So tell me, Siddharth, what do you do when we say that? Okay, so now you found your passion in a way, your one thing that you want to do so that you don't have a mundane and a boring life. So how do you impact people? Is it like, do you have a program? Do you have what exactly do you do? So like people who are listening, and if they want to connect with you for public speaking, what is it? How they connect with you, and what do you do?
So basically, I have a program, both virtual and physical. The physical are for the people based out of Dubai. And right now, I am running current batches with a couple of young kids. They're amazing. They are more creative than the adults. And for everybody outside the world, because I've been coaching more than 300 plus people, and for everybody else in different parts of the world, I have my virtual programs, my online programs, which last about 6 weeks. You can definitely connect with me on all social media platforms. If you search by my name, you'll find me. And I have a webinar every month wherein you can join absolutely free and gauge what is it that you'll get to learn over the course of next 6 weeks. And if you find value in that, you can definitely be a part of this amazing community that I built. My program's name is Speak with Charisma, because I feel that
Okay.
everybody has a charisma inside of them that can make others listen to them with a lot of devotion, with full attention, and make them your raving fans. It's just a matter of time until you identify your charisma.
Sorry, just a moment. I'm just making sure that I write that here, and it is there. So everyone knows about it.
Thank you
Fantastic.
so much.
Oh, definitely. I want to we see what I make sure that see the whole idea, and I believe this. Okay, I believe that the whole idea of this my show is basically to get people like you who have not only gone through certain challenges in their life, they decided to not give up. Number one, that's amazing. They turned their life, and now they are also helping others to change their life. Right. So if anybody watching the show can just get impacted by listening to you, and if they want to connect with you, I'll be the happiest person because that's like my goal is achieved. You know, so that's my
Absolutely.
thing. So that I want to I asked this. We almost passed a lot from the tail end of the show, but I loved every minute that we had a word. I want to ask this question. It's
Absolutely.
a common Thanks. It's a common question that I ask every all my guests.
Mhm.
And before that, let me also put a last comment from Sushant Kumar. He says this is very inspiring story. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sushant. Thank you so much.
And very well narrated. That's more important as well because many a time stories are good, but it's the narration that takes the story from point A to Z. So,
Absolutely.
Siddharth, the question is that do you believe that sharing stories can impact people's life?
Wow. Amit, it's really great that you asked this question because I know you are one of the best storytellers that I know. And when you ask me this question, it's great because I would like to put my perspective into it. Absolutely, no two ways. Stories definitely impact. I'm sure all of you would have heard the statement that stories sell, facts tell. I repeat, stories sell, facts tell. So, one of the most important reasons that you should say or tell stories is because it keeps your listeners hooked. I'm sure today, all you listeners who are there live in front of us or who will listen to this in a recorded format, they would have been hooked because I shared my story. Some of you could even connect with me. Some of you could visualize that story when Rishi was actually beating me blue and black. Some of you could visualize the pain that I was feeling. And yes, I did not add one very important point because you did mention about this, Amit, is yes, I did share a box of sweets to most of the bullies that I could trace from my engineering days last year because my mentor told me that, like Sadhguru says, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. That pain, that scar had to be let go of. And for that, what I did is I sent all those oppressors a box of sweets, thanking them, showing them gratitude for doing what they did, for making me a much stronger person physically and emotionally, including Rishi. And you know what I got back in return from Rishi? I got a new fountain pen with an apology message
Wow.
on WhatsApp.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
that closed the loop.
Beautiful.
That closed the loop of that scar in my mind. But yes, coming back to the, whether stories impact or not. So it helps to keep your listeners hooked. I have asked in my programs, in my webinars, on live audiences, that does it happen to you that you are actually listening to somebody speak but your mind is somewhere else. You're only passively listening, not actively listening. And 90% of the people raise their hands. Yes, it's happened to us. Which means next time you go on the stage, 90% people are not going to listen to you. So how do you ensure that those 90% people listen to you? The only answer to that is stories. Stories will make like the audience to feel like, okay, tell me more. I want to hear more. Please, what happened next? Next time doesn't matter if it's your boss, your better half, your kids, or your friends. If you want people to listen to you, if you want to grab opportunities, if you want to grow in your life, stories will increase the chances of you to do that. In fact, I call my mantras basis my guru, who calls his mantras, his principles as guru mantras. I call my mantras as charis mantras. And one charis mantra that I share with everybody is your story bank. That is the number of stories that you have in your head is equal to your money bank. How much money you will have in your bank. Number two,
Wow.
stories help you to impact decisions. What I mean by that is everybody, Amit, and I'm sure you will agree because you are a champion storyteller. You follow your passion of making other amazing storytellers like yourself. And one thing that you have always told those people is that stories drive the one thing that drives everybody, and that is emotions. Emotions is everything. Everything and anything that we do in our lives is always driven by emotions. For example, you running this show, stories that impact. Maybe the decision you took, you know, I'm sure could have been for n number of reasons, but I know the underlying reason is emotional because you want to impact lives. So anything and everything that we do, we justify that by logic, but the underlying principle is emotion. We are all like onions. If we peel the layers by asking ourselves questions, okay, why did I buy the next car? Why should I buy that next car? Why should I buy a new cell phone? If you ask yourself why three times, you'll reach down to the inner kernel of the onion, the core of the onion, and you'll realize the answer is emotion. So the point is, humans are driven by emotions. And when you tell a story, it activates the subconscious part of your mind where emotions are stored. Rest of the time is the conscious part of your brain. Well, we work with logic. But when we activate the subconscious mind of your brain, you generate amazing hormones in your body, which make sure that people want to listen to you more. And that helps you to persuade more, to influence more, to motivate more. And that helps you to grow in both your personal and professional lives. And that is the exact reason, Amit, and I'm sure you have a son, when you put him to bed, you don't tell him bedtime facts, but bedtime stories.
That's very well said, Siddharth. That's very well said. True, absolutely true. No, you beautifully explained it. And I don't want to share anything much on top of it because I want to leave it at there, the cachet that you left with the bedtime story and not the bedtime facts. I love that. I really loved it. Fantastic, fantastic. Siddharth, it was a pleasure to get you on the show. And I loved it. And I'm sure by looking at the chats, and I know all the audiences who are listening and will watch, and I'm going to have many snippets that I'm going to cut and also put across soon. But it's truly amazing that you're a fantastic, fantastic public speaker. And I'm sure you're going to go and impact millions and billions of lives and make amazing, amazing public speakers and, enrich their lives and of course the ones they are going to go and speak and listen to. So fantastic, keep on the good work, my friend.
Thank you so much,
And
Amit.
with that, do you have any message or anything that you want to convey last to the to my lovely audience here?
Because we are talking about stories, I would like to end with a story, Amit. There was once a king, and he had a daughter of marriageable age. He wanted to get the best groom for her. So he held something that we call a swayamvar, where the bride gets to choose her groom. But he did not want it to be a very simple swayamvar. He wanted to throw some challenge in. So you know what he did? He called all the prince of all the adjoining kingdoms. He called all the men even if they were not princes or had royal blood, to participate in a challenge, which was very simple. They had to swim from one side of a lake to the other. The king and his daughter were on the other side, on the one bank of the lake, and all the contenders were on the other side of the lake. Now, it was not as easy as it sounds because that lake was infested with crocodiles. Nobody had the daring to jump in that water. 3 hours passed, 6 hours passed, 10 hours passed. Nobody jumped into that lake because they all feared their life. And suddenly, a splash sound came. Psh, and one man jumped into the water and bypassed all the crocodiles and came to the other side. The king was really happy. The princess was really happy. The king went and hugged him and said, "Congratulations, son. You are now the next ruler of this kingdom, and I am going to give you half of my kingdom apart from my daughter's hand." "But son, you do not look happy to me. Why is that?" The man looked at the king and said, "I think there is some misunderstanding here. I did not want to marry your daughter. My question to you is, king, who pushed me into the water? मुझे धक्का किसने मारा? Who pushed me into the water?" And that is what we all have in life. Many times in life, we depend on external forces to push us, outside forces to push us, the extrinsic forces to push us, to grow in life, to transform in life. But the greatest person who can push you is the intrinsic person, the intrinsic force. Now you can decide whether that is a bully who suppresses you, who oppresses you to grow, or it's the angel who will help you to grow, who will push you to grow to dizzier heights of success. Over to you, Amit. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Lovely, lovely, Siddharth. Really, really lovely. With that, we are at the end of my 51st episode with my lovely guest, Dr. Siddharth Kishore Gaur. And if you want to connect with him, there's the link in all the platforms. Please go ahead, ping him, connect with him and follow him. Ensure that you also connect with him on LinkedIn and on YouTube and all the platforms. And if you want to connect with me to share another your story or someone you know who wants to share their story, just ping and I'll get back to you. With that, I wish all of you people once again, happy India Independence Day. And Siddharth, thank you very much for coming on to the show and blessing my show with such lovely stories and so many positive aspects. And God bless you. And
Thank you so
for all
much.
the lovely people here in Melbourne, it's around 8:30 p.m. So good night. For people in India, it's evening, and for Siddharth, it's noon, I guess, right? Or
Absolutely.
yeah. Enjoy your rest of your day and enjoy your rest of the evening, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the Sunday. Take care, everyone. God bless, and bye bye.